I want to give you the biggest secret about dog training right now. For some reason, everybody thinks you're going somewhere. We're going to do a live. We're going to open up all Clifford's stuff. I don't think I can carry it all. People to Cliff. Good day.
Oh, I dropped it in my hand on my
What the hell is that?
An ice cream maker for the kids. And I dropped a piece of it on my toe and it really hurts. Thanks.
Oh, we definitely haven't done this yet. I just gotta move it. It's fun to even do that. And you got paddle shifters and turbos. Just give me a little taste. I'm just parking this trailer. She's parked there. Can you guys park a trailer? No. It's like super easy. Small increments. Small increments are big increments with the trailer. That's all I gotta know. This is gonna be my first summer experience with a pellet grill. But apparently it's pretty cool. It does a lot. It smokes and it doesn't smoke. Because Lisa doesn't like smoke. How many of you don't like smoked food?
Me.
Yeah, and there's gonna be like nobody else in the comments that says that.
I've seen plenty of people.
Oh, dude, yo, you got mad gifts, yo. He's like, yo, let's open them up. Wanna open them up? Let's open them up. There's a hose underneath me. Let's do this, yo. Let's check my sheet.
All right, Cliff.
Let's check my sheet.
You got presents.
What do you got? What is it?
Who is this from? I don't think it says from who it's from. Oh my god, that's really nice.
Yeah, that's nice. Lay it out.
Nice.
Lay it out, bro. Lay it out. There you go. Hop on there, bud.
Oh my god, that is so soft.
Yeah, let me get on there.
Dad, you got a blanket.
Let me get on there. He's like, ew. It's just chill. This is chill.
We need a big umbrella out here. Is it a pillowy thing? Like a bumper type thing?
Maybe you rest your leg on this or something? Maybe you want to put your head on it?
No, there's no names on anything.
I don't know what there's names on the letters. Let's get going, Speedy. Whoa, 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 what the hell was that? Good day. That's how you make sure you start a day good. The London Fog. Sorry, I gotta train. Hey, not. What was there, babe? Alright, so he's over the food portion of this. You can see all he wants to do is learn with the dog. The reason why I use food is because it's a lot easier to teach a dog positions while using food. The time when you can start using a tug, because it will bring out a lot more drive in the dog. Like, he's going to be so much more alive the second that toy comes out. But you can't really start using a toy as a reward until the dog is not like grabby, trying to grab it out of your hands and stuff like that, which he is controlled. He has a good out. So we're able to work with that. And watch the difference. Bring this toy out to what he acts like. goes to the place now. Right. He like thinks this is the but it's basically the roots of what I'm teaching him are starting to develop, right? So he's like, oh, I go back here, this is the good place to be, I stand on this. Right? So the roots are starting to develop. I'm really, really happy with him. See? Right back to the little block. Oos. Yes! Right, you play with tennis ball, dog can reward himself because he gets the ball and he just wants to chew it. When you play with the tugs, he can't reward himself because it requires me to tug on the other end. Fully. So just a little bit of work with him. Dog training is, can never be in a hurry, right? You're always going to be working at the dog's pace, and he's out. He knows where the water's at. He's gone. So it's very important that you work at the dog's pace, right? So I think expectations, people putting high expectations on a dog and expecting all of this and putting, kind of time limits on things, that's where you fully go wrong when it comes to dogs or dog training. But you really just got to be there for the process. Some days will be great, some days you may get setbacks, but you just got to be there for it. And you got to be committed. You just got to let them learn at their pace. Everything's going to take time. And it's important that you don't rush the process, right? He's doing great. I'm really happy with him. But as you see, it's literally like a slow process. It's just day by day, consistency. We just keep showing him things. So here he goes. Look at it. He's laying out in it. It's like after you work hard. That's what it's like. That's a good looking dog. You smelling the air, handsome? That is a good looking dog. So the basic things that I was teaching him today, to go to a specific place. That's kind of where we kind of start, and then it'll be a bigger place, and then I'll make different items. Like I'll use like the horse's bowls, use like a frisbee. I use whatever. At a certain point, I'll use really small objects. That's how I can kind of start to teach him to send away, so I can send him to a certain area. If I'm walking, or if I want to send him to go and get in front of me and lay down. You can use it in a lot of different ways, just regular obedience, and obviously you can use it in a lot of tactical things when it comes to protection work. And also a place like that, I get him up on a table and I can teach him positions easier because he can't move around as much. So you can teach sit, stand, down. But there's a lot of different techniques to use in dog training, and I think one of the main things to understand about dog training is there's going to be opinions beyond. There's a bajillion different ways that people choose to train dogs, different techniques that people use. The only thing that most dog trainers will agree on is what the third one is doing wrong. The thing to understand is that there is many ways to train a dog. Not one is necessarily wrong. There's just loads of different ways and different things that work for different dogs at different points. So I've actually kind of mixed, a couple of different styles of training with him. I don't really just do one specific thing. I'm very adaptive. The thing about my training is I'm just extremely adaptive. So what I see is working with one dog may not work with another dog, and I got to try a different approach. That's your job as a dog trainer, is to be able to find the type of training that's going to work best. He's not very possessive, right? So something that I'll do with him is I'll build his possession. So he's a little bit more possessive over his toys and things. And then it will build up his drive and his want for them, and then it will just make it easier for me in turn to teach him other things. But some dogs don't need that. Some dogs are super possessive, and they actually need the opposite, to where they need to be less possessive. Certain dogs are going to respond better, and they're going to work better with food. He doesn't really care for the food. What I'm using isn't that amazing. So probably what I'll start to do when I want to do training with him in the food and get a little bit more excitement out of him is I'll just use a little bit more potent of a food, using basic treats. So instead I'll probably start to use like a chicken or a steak or something that's just like a lot more enticing for him, and you'll get a bit more speed. Again, as I said, there's just so many different ways, and all dogs are different, so different techniques that you may use on one dog you may not use with the other. Some dogs I may primarily only use food to train them. I might not even teach them, getting into using a toy. We might just use food and just create all the marks. Depends on how far you want to go with it. Generally, when you bring a toy out with a dog that has drive and wants to work, you're just going to get a little bit more energy. So it is a very effective method, and most of my dogs, generally, I'm very physical, so I like to be physical. They like to be physical. So I generally always use that method with my dogs, but some people may not. It depends on where you're at, right? But again, there's just so many different techniques in terms of training dogs that it's really like not one is wrong. It's just kind of what works for you. Like me, I'm over here like, bro, positive reinforcement only is the most insane thing like I've ever heard of. For some people, hey, maybe it works. But in the case of working dogs, the reality of positive reinforcement training only is that it's not real. In what world can something learn from not understanding when they make mistakes? That's just not reality. You get what I'm saying? There's just loads of different ways to train dogs. So it depends on you and your dog and which method you decide to use. But there's many ways to train dog. All he's learning is marks, what he's supposed to do, so the basis of his obedience, and then at the same time we'll be building, just like using little parts of teaching him little things about protection that he'll be able to utilize as we go along. That's why I changed to the pillow, which has the 3 handles, because I can kind of simulate more the suit, and I can kind of teach the dog to bite it at different angles, right? So I can have it low, I can have it high, I can have it sideways, I can have it loads of different ways, and that's why I'm using that with him, because I am gonna go into protection work with him next. If you're not gonna go into protection work with a dog, it doesn't really matter as much. So it really, again, it depends on what you plan on doing, and that's the technique that you're gonna apply. That's your informal recall. The dog should be behind me. Right, you got a little bit, see? I knew there was distraction, so I would never use his real recall. Again, like I said, never call the dog unless you know they're gonna come. I have 2 ways that I call my dog. You have a formal recall and you have an informal recall. I would use his H-E-R-E word if I wanted him to come up to me, basically get into our training routine, like come in, get attention, really get ready to be really focused. I use the whistle just in like everyday scenario, just settings. When I want to move, when I want to go somewhere, I just whistle, and he knows the whistle means it's time to go. Space, so I teach him to give space from the gate before I open it. Boss. Yeah, today what I was doing with Drake was I was just teaching him some basic marks, basic positions. We're really at the base of obedience. So it doesn't look like much right now, but as we progress, you'll see. Things that we'll teach him will really start to stick and stand out. And it will become a lot more fun, a lot more interesting. But I know for the people that want to see it from the beginning, this is what it looks like. It's really not like as impressive as all the stuff that you're kind of used to seeing. You know, very basic, very precise. Dogs are, it's all about timing at this point, right? So it's very important. Your timing is very important. So like when I'm teaching him the marks, when I give him the release command, which is YES, and I give him that command, it's important that it's not YES at the same time as I'm giving the reward, and that it's YES, reward follows very quickly, right? So then I'm actually marking the behavior that he's doing. With dogs, they're body language based. You have to be very aware of your body and little gestures that you make when you train, because the dogs will map those things. Like for example, like sometimes when people tell a dog to sit, you use a hand signal, or like you step forward a little bit, or you lean down. Well, any of these little things, the dogs will really actually learn that as a part of the cue. Because if you stand perfectly still and give your dog all the commands, do they verbally understand? A lot of the time people will think the dog will, but you stand still and you start to give the dog verbal commands and they'll look at you like they don't know what the hell's going on, because you're not doing the movements and things that you normally do. Because as I said, dogs are body language based, so they really map your body movements. I'll never call my dog unless I know they're gonna come. I will never use the recall unless I know they're gonna come. You ask, how do you get the dog then? Well, in these stages of training, if the dog's outside and the dog doesn't want to come, then you go outside and you get the dog. You don't call the dog. You don't weaken your commands, right? That's something that's very important. So go outside, bring the dog in during this period of time. Lots of bridges in dog training, right? So lots of times you need to help them along with certain things, and then slowly those things dissipate. But if you're outside and you're just sitting there calling your dog and they're not coming, all you're doing is weakening that recall. Every time you call and they don't come, you're just weakening the recall. And most of the time when you call your dog, you want to be sure that whatever you have is better than what they had, right? So if they're out there playing with it, whatever you have is the greatest. So when they come back to you, it's like, yes, my dad is the best place to be ever. This is the greatest. He always has the good. So you want to create that, right? So when you call them, you always have something better than what they have. And again, bridging. So this is in the beginning. You're not gonna do this the dog's entire life. You're not gonna run around with food your dog's entire life or have a toy every single time, right? So you start to, as training moves on, it starts to grow, right? So you can have, there's more of a duration between reward. Right now with him, I basically reward every action that he's doing that is good. When we start to move along, we start to do a little bit of duration. So, you know, I'll have him in a down, and then it'll be good, good. Another command, good, good. So you can even be feeding, good, good. And then the release, YES, boom, energy. So anyways, yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about it. I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna edit these vlogs with so much dialogue. I think what I'm gonna have to start doing is if I do training, I'm probably just gonna narrate over top of it, and I think that will kind of save time from watching the training than sitting here and watching me for however long explain to you what was going on. So I think it's probably better that I just kind of narrate over top of a lot of the training, so that's probably what I'm gonna do moving forward. I wanna give you the biggest secret about dog training right now before I go, okay? The biggest secret is consistency. There's no fast way through this. You put time in, whether it's 10 minutes a day, whether it's 20 minutes a day, whether it's 5 minutes a day, whatever it is, that you're consistent and you stay on it. And that is the best way to get your dog to be trained and to understand what it is that you want from them, is being consistent and consistently showing them what it is that you want from them. Teaching them the system, teaching them to understand marks, so they will understand what is good and what is bad, right? That's what you want to do.